Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our channel. Today, I have a story that will grab your heart and show you just how surprising life can be. Imagine this. Your wedding day is supposed to be the happiest day of your life. But what if, in the middle of it all, someone tells you, I never loved you? Sounds impossible, right? But that is exactly what happened to me. And even more amazing, 4 years later, fate brought him one really huge surprise that he never saw coming. Stay with me as I take you on this journey from heartbreak to hope. It was a bright and sunny day. I spent weeks getting ready, picking out the perfect dress, and dreaming of a fairy tale wedding. The hall was filled with colorful flowers, smiling faces, and music that made the air feel magical. I felt like I was stepping into a beautiful dream, and my heart was full of hope. But then when I was standing there, looking into his eyes, he spoke in a calm and cold voice. He said, I never loved you. In that very moment, everything changed. Those three little words hit me like a big, heavy rock. I felt like a balloon that had its air suddenly let out. All the happiness and all the dreams seemed to vanish in the blink of an eye. I remember thinking, how can this be happening on the day I was supposed to be the happiest? It was like someone had taken my favorite toy away without warning. The room, once full of laughter and music, became quiet and full of shock. Every guest seemed to freeze in time. I felt my heart sink into a dark, deep well of sadness. After those hurtful words were spoken, I stood there in disbelief. My eyes started to fill with tears. It was as if the warm sunshine had suddenly been covered by dark, heavy clouds. I could hear my heart pounding so loudly it felt as though it might burst out of my chest. Everyone around me was in silence. The beautiful day had turned into a time I wished I could forget. I kept thinking, why would he say something so hurtful? Was everything we shared just a lie? For a moment, it felt like the whole world had stopped spinning. It was just me in a very deep pain. You know how when someone at school says something unkind, it can make your day really gloomy? Now, imagine that feeling multiplied many times over. That is exactly what I felt right then. It was a pain that went deep inside like a cut that needs time to heal. Even though I tried to crack a little smile by thinking, who on earth brings such mean words to a wedding? Deep down, I was really hurting. Fun fact, science shows that our brain feels emotional pain almost like it feels physical pain. In simple words, every hurtful word is like a tiny cut inside us. And just like cuts, given time and care, our hearts can heal. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, I found myself in a long period of healing. I realized that even though that day was filled with sadness, I would not let those words define me. I decided I was going to do everything to bring some light back into my life. I began to find joy in simple things, a funny cartoon on TV, a kind smile from a friend, or even a warm cup of chocolate milk on a chilly day. I started writing about my feelings in a little notebook. I drew sketches and even took walks in nature, learning that every storm passes and leaves behind a clearer sky. It was a bit like learning to ride a bicycle for the very first time. At first, you might fall and get hurt, but with each try, you become better and stronger. I learned that every fall taught me how to balance better, and every tear helped water the seeds of a new beginning. I even began to try silly things to lift my mood, like dancing around my room in pajamas. I know it sounds a little funny, but sometimes being a little silly is exactly what you need to feel better. During all this time, a thought kept coming back to me. What is fate? Fate is like a mysterious friend who sometimes surprises you when you least expect it. Sometimes when life feels very hard, little signs appear that help us understand things better, like pieces of a puzzle slowly coming together. I started to read stories about people who went through tough times and then found happiness in the most unexpected ways. These stories taught me that even though a dark day may come, it might be the start of something wonderful. I learned that every difficult moment, even a painful wedding day, can help us grow. It is like planting a seed in the soil. At first, it's buried and hidden, but with time and care, that seed will grow into a beautiful flower. I also discovered something cool from science. Our brain, which helps us feel sad or happy, is very smart. It can change and learn, almost like a superhero that grows stronger every time we face challenges. Even if our feelings are hurting today, tomorrow might bring new strength, new hope, and even a smile. And let me tell you, just like when you try something new and sometimes make funny mistakes, every challenge in life teaches you something. For example, I once tried baking cookies and ended up with a messy kitchen. But that silly mistake taught me how to try again and enjoy the process. Life works in a similar way. Every mistake can turn into a valuable lesson. As time slowly healed my wounded heart, I continued to learn and grow. Days turned into months, and months turned into years. Every day, I discovered a little bit more about who I was and what made me happy. I kept a journal where I wrote about every small wonder I experienced. I started enjoying the sound of raindrops, the laughter of my friends, and the gentle hugs that reminded me I was not alone. I learned that even though that terrible wedding day left a scar on my heart, it also taught me that I was strong enough to move forward. I began to understand that life is like a long journey. Sometimes the road is smooth and filled with sunshine, and other times it is bumpy and dark. But every road you travel, no matter how rough, eventually leads you to a better place. I was slowly building a life filled with hope and new dreams. I took up hobbies, learned to cook, even if I sometimes burned the pancakes, and connected with kind people who showed me that love comes in many different forms. It is funny how a big disappointment can sometimes lead us to a world we never knew existed. I started to see that the hurtful words of the past were just one part of my story. They did not stop me from learning, laughing, and loving again. Now here comes the twist in our story. 4 years after that unforgettable wedding day, something truly amazing happened. One calm, ordinary day, I received a letter, a message that came as an unexpected surprise. It was from him, the person who had once said those terrible words. In his letter, he wrote that over the years, he had thought a lot about what he had said. He admitted that in his heart, he was scared and confused about love. For a long time, he had convinced himself that he did not need love at all. But as time went on, he found himself feeling empty and lonely. He explained that without love, his life had become dull and sad, and he missed the warmth that comes from caring for someone. Then the biggest surprise came. He told me that fate had brought him something he never expected, a chance to truly understand what love means. He met someone special who taught him to be kind, gentle, and caring. This person showed him that true love is not just words spoken on a fun day. It is the kind of love that fills your heart day after day, even when things are not perfect. He even said, "I never loved you," was not the truth about my feelings, but a mistake born out of fear and confusion. His journey over those 4 years changed him completely. He learned that love must be shown with actions, little kindnesses, and understanding. He told me that his whole life turned around once he understood what love really was. I must admit, I felt mixed emotions reading his words. Part of me was surprised, and another part of me still felt a little hurt, but I also understood that sometimes people change, for better or for worse. And in his case, it was fate that brought him this huge, life-changing surprise. Listening to his letter made me think a lot about the nature of love and pain. I learned that the words we speak can be very powerful, and sometimes they can hurt the people we care about. But I also learned that no matter how deep the hurt, there is always a path to change and forgiveness. Imagine a seed being planted in the ground. It starts small and hidden, but with the right care, it grows into a beautiful tree. In the same way, sometimes the difficult moments in our lives are the seeds that help us grow stronger and wiser. Even though that day at my wedding was filled with sadness, it helped me learn one of the most important lessons of my life, that true strength comes from rising after you fall. I came to see that even hurtful words can lead someone to think, learn, and eventually change. When he said those words, he did not yet understand the true meaning of love. But fate, in its own mysterious way, gave him a chance to learn and to feel what true love really is. And that, my friends, is one of the most wonderful surprises fate can bring. Think about a time when something very sad happened, but later you learned something important from it. It might feel like a hard lesson at first, but later on, you see that it helped you become a better person. Life works in mysterious ways, and sometimes the difficult times are the ones that shape our happiest tomorrows. After I received his heartfelt message, I did not rush to react. I took my time to reflect on all that had happened over the years. I realized that I had grown strong and happy without needing to hold on to old hurts. I had found my own way to smile and to enjoy life. I started a new chapter with fresh dreams and ideas. I learned that sometimes when one door closes, another door opens. My journey taught me that even the worst moments can lead to beautiful changes. I began to see that true love is not found in grand gestures or fancy words, but in every kind act, every shared smile, and every moment of care and understanding. Today I stand before you with a heart that is healed. I am filled with hope and gratitude for the lessons life has taught me along the way. And I truly believe that every one of us has the strength to overcome the hardest moments. Let my story remind you that even when someone says hurtful things, it does not mean that love is lost forever. Sometimes fate has a very special surprise waiting just around the corner. Friends, thank you so much for listening to my story. From a painful wedding day to a journey of grief, healing, and a surprising twist of fate that changed everything. I hope that if you are ever feeling hurt or alone, you remember that every hard day brings you closer to a brighter tomorrow. Your strength and your hope are far greater than any moment of sadness. Before we end, I invite you to join our community by hitting that subscribe button and giving this video a big thumbs up if this story touched your heart. Also, don't forget to check out the video on the end screen to hear another amazing journey that shows how life sometimes works in magical ways. Leave a comment below and tell me about a time when something unexpected helped you grow. Thank you for watching, and always remember, every challenge brings a hidden gift. Stay kind, keep smiling, and I'll see you in the next video.